Every day I get financial questions from clients, friends, viewers, and occasionally from one of my 3 sons who kind of values my opinion. So for today's video, I teamed up with ChatGPT, because everybody's doing it, to sift through all the questions I received in 2024 and pick the 10 most common questions. We're covering it all in this video: Social Security, investments, the 4% rule, Bitcoin, and what I consider to be the biggest scam in the retirement planning business. Let's get right to it after a very brief introduction. Hi, I'm Daryl Rosen, and thank you for joining me. I create these videos to share my journey and, more importantly, to help you on yours to retirement. At the end of the day, I believe we all want the same things: happiness and security. So if you're down for that, let's get going. And if you like what I'm doing and you have thoughts on today's topic, or even if you want me to explore something new, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. A lot of retirement planning relies upon a concept known as Monte Carlo analysis, a tool that runs thousands of scenarios with different market returns, assumptions, inflation, and spending to predict how likely your money is to last. I know it's thrilling, right? Use it at your next holiday gathering, or don't. The goal is to assign a probability of your money lasting throughout your lifetime. So 80% confidence means there's an 80% chance your money will last as long as you do, which is nice. So if the analysis returns a number between 80 and 85%, will you be happy? What happens if there's a down market and your investments lose a little bit of value? On the surface, not the end of the world as long as you don't sell. But what if that confidence score decreases, even for just a short period of time, to, let's say, 72%? You're gonna be happy? Probably not. Look, the fact is that most people don't run out of money. They wanna spend their last dollar on their deathbed, but that's kind of hard in practice. The better question I find is, what's my spending capacity and how likely is that I'll need to adjust in retirement? Or simply, how much can I spend? And what's the chance that that number will change? So one of the most common questions I heard this year was, will I run out of money? But I really believe the better question is, given all of my resources, how much can I spend? That's our first question. And this should come as no surprise, but spending in retirement is very closely related to how much money you have, which is dependent on how your money is doing in the market. Good or bad, we're inundated by news about how the markets are doing. Here are some recent headlines around the time that I'm filming this, nearly Christmas 2024. So people want to know if they should sell some of their investments, lock in some gains. But this is another area where I'd like to change the question just a little bit. A lot of this depends on how old you are and if you're retired, nearly retired, or younger. My son's 29. He should keep investing, though he fears putting his hard-earned money to work at these levels. His time horizon is 30 years, not 30 days. So here are a few options, and please keep in mind, this is general guidance. I do not know your unique situation. Let's rephrase our second question, the should I sell question, to based on my timeline. Should I sell? We can say it this way as well. The question is not, should you sell your investments because the market is so high? It's, should some of your money be out of harm's way based upon your proximity to actually needing that money? Here's what I mean. I have some cardinal rules on investing, and one of them is that you never take risks with money you need to pay your bills. Plain and simple. I'd like you to think about your money in buckets, each tied to a future period of time when you're actually going to need that money. Start with the first 5 years of retirement, then the next 5 years, and so on. 5 buckets for a 25-year plan. The first bucket is for the early years of retirement. This money needs to be safe, not at risk. So if you need to sell some investments for protection to replenish that initial bucket, go ahead. So that's my answer to whether you should sell something when the market is high. If you have enough safe money, it would probably be best to try to ignore the market. Okay, let's keep going. We still have questions covering Social Security, the 4% rule, and what I consider to be the biggest scam in financial planning later on this video. But for now, let's stay on investments. Candidly, I don't understand Bitcoin. Don't own it, don't understand it. I have a client who has 10% of his wealth in Bitcoin. He wants to know if he should sell it. That's the third question I get a lot. And my answer sounds a bit like my answer to the prior question about selling investments. I suppose speculative investments are okay, but once again, it depends on your time horizon. If you have enough safe money in case of emergency and to handle the first several years of retirement, and you believe in something like cryptocurrency, then go ahead and hold on to it. If you have 2 thumbs and don't understand it, like me, stay far, far away. I think this is actually kind of funny, but for me to offer Bitcoin to a client, we both have to sign a long disclosure that was seemingly crafted by a law firm that was paid a ton of money. It's long, it's confusing, and it scares the crap out of me. So tread carefully. Yes, this third question is one I get all the time. Is Bitcoin okay for my retirement portfolio? Let me put it this way about investments in general. Don't put money you can't or don't want to lose in speculative investments. Back to my 29-year-old son for a moment. He'll buy a house or a condo somewhat soon. Son, if you're watching, don't put your down payment in Bitcoin. By the way, though my boys probably wouldn't let me within 10 miles of their money, I do put plans together for viewers all the time or help them with hourly consulting. I don't try to sell things or require that I have to manage your money. It's really not my style. So if you need help, click on the link below for a brief questionnaire to see if I'm the right fit for you. If you're still working, are you going to retire soon? That's our fourth question, when to retire, and really, how do you know? I suggest you be able to say yes to the following 4 key milestones before leaving the workforce. And I've done several videos on the subject. I'll put those links in the description. The first milestone is that you have a clear financial plan, which means you have confidence in your financial safety net. It's the kind of peace of mind that lets you spend money without constantly worrying about running out of it or needing to cut back on your lifestyle. The second milestone is that you know how you're going to replace your work identity. Retirement often means losing the structure, losing connections, and a sense of purpose work provides, leaving many feeling. Research shows retirees closely tied to their careers often struggle with mental well-being when they retire, which can impact their ability to set and achieve goals during their retirement. The third milestone signaling you're ready to retire is when work starts affecting your health. Numerous studies find that prolonged exposure to workplace stressors can contribute to chronic health conditions, including high blood pressure, heart disease, and the risk of heart attack, and mental health disorders. Employees facing these issues often see retirement as a way to reduce stress, a way out, and a way to improve their overall well-being. They're probably not wrong. And the fourth milestone, you've strengthened your social support network. A strong support network is a key sign you're ready for retirement. Losing work connections can be tough, but having friends, family, or a community of like-minded people ensures a fulfilling, happier, and healthier retirement. In my experience, if you can meet these 4 milestones, then you've answered the question, am I ready to retire? Related to retirement timing is typically a question about Social Security. Specifically, the 5th question is, will that money be there for me when I retire? This is an interesting question because as I say these words at the end of 2024, large government programs like Social Security and Medicare are very much in the news. Elon Musk has been tasked himself with the responsibility of reducing the federal budget. Social Security and Medicare, as you know, are giant programs. To reduce the federal budget and not impact these programs is nonsensical. With that said, the question is, if there are changes, who would they affect and what would the timing be? There will be changes, but it takes decades to implement everything. Changes in the future could certainly be different, but let's go back in time to 1983. Let's review how the last time major changes were implemented and what happened. That's right, 1983. Some enhancements in 1983 took place quickly, like the taxation of Social Security benefits for higher income individuals, which started the following year. There was also an increase in payroll taxes, which took effect shortly after the law was passed. This was to address immediate funding gaps. The most meaningful change was raising the full retirement age from 65 to 67. And previously, you would receive your full benefit at 65. Over time, that age has increased to 67, but it was phased in beginning in the year 2000, 17 years later. It's not even fully phased in yet. That's not till 2027. Here's my point. It's a common question, will Social Security be here for me? Let me give you a long, complicated answer filled with unbridled confidence. I think so. A better question is, as the program evolves over the years, who the changes will affect and when. My crystal ball is broken and it was never right anyway, but I would say that if you're age enough to be watching this video, I really wouldn't worry. Speaking of worrying, are you concerned about the price of eggs and gas? Yes. Inflation. Question number 6 is how to handle inflation in a retirement plan. If you build in too high a number without really understanding inflation, you're going to end up spending less when you're younger and healthier, and your overall plan will probably allocate way too much money to your later years. The thing is that inflation affects each of us differently based upon our buying patterns. Recent research shows inflation hits low-income families the hardest as they spend more on necessities like food, gas, and rent. In fact, studies from the Dallas Fed and the CBO reveal these households face sharper cost increases from 2019 to 2023, which worsen the financial strain. The Bureau of Labor Statistics confirms inflation's impact varies by income and spending. And here's what I find really interesting. Over the last several years, while inflation was rearing its ugly head, none of my clients that were taking distributions from their retirement plans increased or wanted more money. Not a single one. And I find that there are 2 reasons. First, people adjust during inflationary times. They buy less. They buy store brands. They just make adjustments. And 2, inflation hits everyone differently. If you're watching this video as someone who relies very heavily on Social Security, you may be affected more by inflation than someone who has more assets. My point here is that we have to be careful. Too high an estimate for inflation in your plan will reduce your spending up front, which is not ideal. Speaking of not spending money early in retirement, much of that is caused by the next question. A lot of advisors use something known as the 4% rule. The 4% rule is a retirement planning guideline that suggests you can withdraw 4% of your investment portfolio annually during retirement without running out of money over a 30-year period. For example, if you have $1 million saved, you'd withdraw $40,000 in the first year, then adjust that amount each year for inflation. The rule assumes a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds and is based on historical market data. While it is a helpful starting point, it's not foolproof. Market fluctuations, longer lifespans, or rising costs may require adjustments to ensure your money lasts. I don't like this rule, and I've said that in numerous videos. So much that a viewer once asked me if I obtained my professional certifications at a corner saloon. I don't think he agreed with me, and I would have been hurt, but I was laughing too hard. The idea is that the 4% rule protects you in all market scenarios, but here's the thing. For it to be effective, you have to follow it to a T. There can be no deviations. There can be no panicking, no rash moves. Well, that gets harder as you get older. I prefer the methods I outlined earlier in the video when we were talking about the current market, about bucketing your money, about not taking risks with money you need to pay your bills. I don't like the 4% rule. I don't think retirement should be entrusted to a rule of thumb because nobody wants the zone of regret. The point in time when you realize you could have spent more on life's experiences, but now because of health, it's too late. One risk, though, of spending too much earlier in retirement is what if you need long-term care? I've always been very open about my views on long-term care insurance. Jill and I have policies, and my dad's has been a lifesaver in covering the cost of his care. He suffers from dementia. Long-term care insurance doesn't just protect the later years of your life. It also gives you the freedom to spend more when you're younger and healthier. Recently, a viewer commented that spending money earlier in life is really awful advice because both of her parents had dementia, and memory care in California, like most places, is extremely expensive. That's a fair concern, but here's the thing. This is exactly what insurance is for. It blows my mind that we readily buy insurance to protect against all sorts of risks. Yet when it comes to securing the quality of life we've worked so hard to enjoy, we hesitate out of fear of future costs. Is it worth the cost? Better question, is it worth the investment? That's the 8th question. By the way, if you pass away peacefully in your sleep without needing extra care, no, it probably wasn't the best use of money. But if you end up needing that care, or if you simply don't want the stress of thinking that every dollar you spend in your 60s could hurt the care you'd receive in your 80s, it can be an invaluable investment. It's about peace of mind and living your life fully without fear of the what ifs. Here's another what if. The 9th question. What if I take Social Security at 62? It's a reoccurring question. Here's my answer. Come closer if you want to. Waiting to take Social Security means you'll get a bigger monthly check. If you wait past your full retirement age, your payments go up about 8% each year until you turn 70. This can add up to be a lot of money over your lifetime, especially if you live a long time. Plus, if you're married, it ensures your spouse gets a bigger payment if they outlive you. It's like giving yourself a raise later in life when you might need it the most. Everyone has their own opinion on when to collect. According to Social Security data, only about 10% of retirees wait until 70 to claim benefits, despite the higher payouts. Most people claim earlier, with 29% starting at age 62, locking in permanently reduced payments. Here's what I tell people who ask the 9th question. Should I take Social Security benefits at age 62? Generally, I don't recommend it, but if you need the money, you need the money. I've met people who aren't working and have very little in terms of assets and income. Take the benefit. Conversely, I've met people with ample assets who retired at 62, but for whatever reason, they don't want to sell stocks or other investments. Take the benefit. The point is, if you're not working and it's a choice between selling assets or collecting Social Security, a case can be made for taking the benefit. You got to pay your bills. And speaking of paying your bills, let's talk about your overall retirement plan. I want to shine a light on what I believe is the biggest scam in the retirement planning industry: how returns are calculated in your plan. Here's the issue. Every system I've ever used and the retirement calculators on major sites like Fidelity and Schwab all calculate returns the same way. These returns are the foundation of your entire plan. If those returns don't hold up, the whole plan can crumble, just like a house built on a shaky foundation. So let's dig into why this matters and how to protect your plan. Here's how it works. You choose an allocation, say 50% stocks and 50% bonds. The plan uses 100 years of data to predict future returns based on that breakdown. If the predicted return is 5.6% annually, the plan assumes your money will grow by 5.6% every year like clockwork. But we both know that's not how money grows. If your plan assumes 5.6% growth, but your portfolio drops 5.6% in the first year, your entire outlook changes. That's why a solid plan needs stress testing, something that shows how your portfolio under different assumptions might perform in turbulent markets. Without it, your plan is incomplete. So here's the 10th and final question, a variation of one I hear almost daily. Is this thing accurate? My answer is it could be. And if you're not sure or need help figuring it all out, click the link in the pinned comment. I offer fiduciary-based advice without any pressure to buy something or hire me to manage your money. Here's some videos that you might enjoy, and thanks for watching.